We all want a cure for something, whether it's migraines or mental health. We're desperate for something to kick in and kick in fast. And it's really hard to wait for healing. And it's hard to do the work that's often required for wellness. So I find this tension is really well understood in chiropractic. Stevenson's sixth principle of chiropractic states all processes take time. And then again, sometimes all the body needs is a clear nervous system for improvement to happen really rapidly. So, on this podcast, you'll definitely hear both stories of healing that took time and that happened surprisingly fast. I'm your host and chiropractic advocate, Jenna Quinton, founder of Adjust Your Media. And on this episode of What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, I'm talking with Dr. Molly Spohn Lee. She's a chiropractor and owner of Matrix Chiropractic in Greenville, South Carolina. And she has a great Instagram account that I love to follow. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
On this podcast, we're telling stories. So tell us a story about somebody who got better under chiropractic care and how chiropractic really restored their ability to heal themselves.
So I've been thinking about different healing processes that I've seen over the last 5 years in practice. And you see everything from you adjust someone's hip and their knee feels better so they can go up and down the stairs with their grandkids. You see people who have debilitating migraines and had to quit their job and then they get adjusted. You know, sometimes it's one time and sometimes it's over the course of 3 years. They fade out over time and then they have their quality of life back. But what I keep circling back to, and my favorite one that gets me the most excited when I get to, change their notes in my computer, is someone who has been trying to get pregnant and hasn't been able to. They've gone down all of these different routes. They've tried medications, they've tried lifestyles, they've made all of these crazy changes in their life, and then they get adjusted. Sometimes, like you're saying, one time, like sometimes they get adjusted. You can feel this change in their body. They can feel that their hormones feel different. Their body functions feels different. Their sleep quality feels different. Everything feels different with one. And sometimes it takes a series, but it's really hard to quantify healing any more efficiently than pregnant versus not pregnant. Because, you see people, and it's hard to know, like, if we could take this person and see them with chiropractic care and see them without a doubt, their life would be better with chiropractic, with a clear nervous system, with their body functioning well, but you can't take that same person and study them one way versus the other. So it's hard to get really great quality studies like chiropractic deserves, because it's impossible to test and see somebody if they had or hadn't had chiropractic, because they either did or they didn't. There's no half. So to me, getting pregnant is the coolest demonstration, the coolest expression of literal life through chiropractic, because there's someone who has been trying to get pregnant, for a year, for a month, for 10 years. And then they get adjusted, they start getting adjusted, they commit to the wellness lifestyle. And all of a sudden there's literal life being born. And it's just the coolest thing to see someone who has exhausted all of their avenues. And they're like, I'm doing the same thing. I'm eating the same foods. All of the things. They're doing all of the things to try to get a baby. And then finally they get a clear nervous system. Either the nerve going to their uterus relieves pressure, and now that uterus is a hospitable environment and you can get pregnant, or it's bone going to your thyroid gland and your organs and your hormones start functioning correctly so that you can get progesterone to the levels it needs to be. Like, there's so many avenues that adjustments can help, and you don't know which of those things it is that made it happen, but in the end, it happened. Their body just needed to be corrected, and then they can have something as massive as pregnancy, which, for most people is like a huge life altering event that most females want.
I love this example because, like you said, it is going from something that should normally function like this. A uterus is made to be able to do this. Ovaries are made to be able to do this. And even a lot of times, even suggesting both partners get adjusted, because, if he is having dysfunction that hasn't really popped up in another area of his life, but that pelvic function is still not functioning correctly, it's such an amazing thing. Like you said, there's such a clear delineation between pregnant and not pregnant, between dysfunction and function. I think too about so many different people who have things like secondary infertility, where they just don't have an answer
Yeah,
for why it worked before and now it's not. And they
totally.
can say, like, we know we can,
Totally.
but now we can't.
Right.
And I'm thinking of one friend in particular who there was just no medical explanation.
Totally.
And so yeah, I love the fact of the nervous system and like you explained how delicate of a balance all of that is between hormones and even just sleep. We hear
Totally.
about women who have different sleep patterns who like that is one of the deciding things that has been narrowed down of if she could sleep better and
Yep.
had better circadian rhythm. I hear so many chiropractic patients who say their sleep improves with chiropractic.
Totally. We have this re-exam form, and at the end, there's, this section that says what improved that you didn't expect to. And
Mm,
almost everybody will say sleep improved, mental health improved, and
mm,
digestion improved. Because they're coming in for knee pain or headaches or whatever superficial pain marker
yeah.
brought them in. And then there's this whole subcategory of things that they're like, oh, I hadn't thought about it, but I am sleeping better. My hormones are regulated. I'm not having to take as much medication. There's this whole laundry list of things that comes with good maintenance body work. And it's just the coolest thing to see. And the reason I love pregnancy so much is because, like, maybe with your friend, she could totally get pregnant. Everything was totally fine. She slips and falls on ice.
Mm,
A bone goes out. It could have been like an instant when something happened and
hmm
said a bone got shifted out of place, or it could have been subtly over time. Some
hmm
sort of breakdown in that tissue could have created it. But regardless, if you get adjusted, since it's correcting the nervous system, the muscular system, the hormonal system, like it's hitting it from every angle, getting your body corrected. It doesn't really matter what the cause. If her anatomy has the ability to host a baby, if her body can function the way that it's supposed to without any interference, she should be able to get pregnant again. And
Yeah.
hopefully that's where a chiropractor steps in.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm going to, in the show notes, I will put some different studies and things for people to do some more research into this. But
Love
I'd
that.
also love for you to talk about your social media and why you share stories and information on there. What's your goal with sharing on social media?
So I met with someone when I first opened, while I was doing the build out of my office, I met with a few people in town who I had just reached out to, like, we have similar mindsets, our businesses are similar. Can we meet and get coffee? I was just trying to kind of get connected in the community since I'm not originally from here. And I met with someone who has a float tank, like a holistic style business,
Mm.
and she agreed to meet with me, and she had a good social media following. And I asked her, like, what do you do? What's the secret to this social media success? And she said the main thing that she has found to work for her is posting authentically, which, like, duh, like, what a cliche thing to say, like, do it
Yeah.
authentically. But, like, don't schedule your post to come out Monday at 4 and Thursday at 6 and pre-made and whatever. Post it when you feel it, make it when you
Mm.
feel it, because it comes through the screen. If you post something and it's just like, here's information on this thing that we have, you're going to get 12 likes, you're going to have no interaction. It's not going to inspire anybody. But if you post when you're having a good time, when you're at that like high point, when you're having fun, when you, like, it comes through the screen. And I feel like her telling me that was the biggest game changer. And I never, like, there are 2, 3 weeks sometimes where I don't post, and it's because I just don't feel like posting. And I
Yeah.
always think about her, like, when I'm like, should I post this picture of me adjusting someone that we took 6 weeks ago that means nothing to me? It's not inspiring. It's just whatever, like, just to be. I'm
Mm.
like, no, like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to just like be putting out content to be putting out content. I want to do it when it means something, because then I feel like people can feel that, and it
Yes.
makes your page more inspirational for people, and it makes the energy of your page feel different. Like, I just feel like you can feel energy through a screen. Like, if you see
Hmm.
someone through a breakup, even if you don't know they're broken up, there's
Yeah.
like manic energy behind all of this social media stuff. So I feel like people can feel that. And I feel like part of the success that we've had in building a bit of a following is just posting authentically. And if, my girls make a video, I want them to post. I've recently switched on this. I was very like, I want to do everything, learning to let go. But I've found if I try to post something that they created, it doesn't get as much interaction. And I think it's because it wasn't from me and I'm trying to put it out as me. But if they do
Mhm.
it, I feel like it gets a better reaction because it's posted with some energy behind it. So I think that there's something to be said for making your social media exactly who you are and what you're feeling that day. Like, are you feeling informative or is it forced
Yeah,
that you're like, C1 supplies the blah, blah, blah. Like, if it's not exciting you that day, then do a funny one. Like, if you're in a funny, goofy mood, do a funny one. Or if you're in a serious, like,
absolutely.
if you can post based on your mood, I just feel like it works out better because people feel like your page is you and it's not a cheesy business page. It's like, happy 4th of July. You know, it's not, it's like, it's actually you, it's actually what you feel. And then people can feel your excitement behind the post that you're making.
I love that. Yeah. And that is such a good way to grow that awareness to educate your current people who maybe haven't heard you say that one thing that you think you say all the time. And then
Totally.
your current people are just following along because they love you and they're like, "Oh,
Oh,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Kids' ear canals are actually more horizontal." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Huh, who'd have thunk? That's really
Yes.
cool." And
Totally.
then, but that energy that you put out, it really is for new people. What a better way than to give them this plate glass window into your practice via the
Yeah.
phone that's in their pocket. And yeah, even if you think, oh, I'm still being myself, but you're being like a little bit of a different version of yourself than you
Yeah.
actually present in
Yeah.
your office. So I have a doctor in Chicago who is very suit and tie, and that fits him. So would
Yep.
we post something where he's in blue jeans and be like, no, he's really a chill dude.
Right. No, because
No,
he's not.
he really shows up in a suit and tie.
Right.
And my
Totally.
Florida chiropractor, who is barefoot in her practice,
Yes.
no, posting formal pictures of her that look beautiful, it's just not going to feel as congruent as her beachy self. So I love
Totally.
that.
Totally. I agree totally. Yeah. Authenticity, I really think comes across. And it is important to be like slightly methodical. Like, I do want to make sure that I'm posting content that's educational and
Mhm.
content that's funny and relatable and all of the things that would make a well-rounded person, a well-rounded practitioner. But I don't want to do it on a schedule because then it's a drag and people can tell that it's a drag. Do it when the inspiration sparks, I feel like is the important part.
Yeah. Well, and in that kind of structure, do you have a process where you know, like, oh, these new patients are coming from social media, or do you have things that you track there?
We don't track any insights in terms of that. We have a referral portion in our electronic health record, so we know where
Hmm.
people come from, but so much of it is word of mouth.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
Social media does give us a lot of people ask questions. I have found with social media, it's a much longer process to get someone in the door. It's like they want to
Yes.
watch from a distance for
Hmm.
2 years before they're
Yes.
like, hey, I've been following you for 2 years and it seems like what you do is gentle and it seems like you're relatable. It gives people an opportunity to watch you without having to truly commit to asking questions. So it might take them a few years. And then, like
Hmm.
you're saying, maybe you say that horizontal ear canal thing and they're like, oh, like that maybe is motivating enough for them to come in because their kid needs it and they trust you because they feel like they know you because you've been authentic on social media. So I do think it's a longer process. And a lot of times people I feel like don't even remember how they found us. They're just like, I've just been following you for so long. And then I finally decided, like, or a lot of times it's like my kid or my husband, and the wife is the one who follows on social media. And she's like, my husband needs a chiropractor. I'm sending him to you, even though she's been the one like peering through the windows for
Yes.
5 years
Yes.
or whatever. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. We don't really track it, but I do feel like it has more traction than we probably even know.
I tell people all the time that Instagram is a lot more like a digital business card where you're just handing it out. We don't have, I don't think unless you try and put a QR code on your business card, we don't really track like how somebody got through your business card
Totally.
back to you. but you
Totally.
hand them out.
Yep.
And then, Facebook is really a lot more like the yellow pages. Like, when you think, oh, I know that I need somebody, and then you're kind of like, I like their name, I like where they're located.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a family practice. And you find out details, but people are looking at Facebook as if it's the yellow pages and
Yeah.
Instagram like it's a business card. And
Totally.
even I tell people all the time, I have sisters and I listen to my sisters and I love my sisters, but it doesn't matter what they tell me about their hairstylist. I'm like, I'm going to look at the pictures.
Totally.
So even if they say, yes, my sister referred me, how much you want to bet that their sister came to look at your Instagram
So
before
true.
she actually called?
So true. So yeah, that's why I feel like social media is kind of diluted in that way where you don't really know its impact. Its impact is so much bigger than we realize because whether someone has been following you on and is like, oh, I think I'll check out their website, and then it looks like a website lead, or like you're saying, like someone refers them and then they go to your social media, that's what tips them over the edge, where it's like, oh, that doesn't seem like an intimidating office. It seems like they know what they're doing. The office looks clean, like whatever boxes it needs to tick.
Yeah.
They realize that it does that via social media, and then they reach out, even if it's not through your DMs, through your website link or whatever. But I think you're totally right that social media is much more globally helpful than even realize.
Well, and what I do sometimes tell clients is that on new patient paperwork or on re-exams, to even just add a question or two and say, do you follow us on social media? So
Oh, I like
asking
that.
where they come from, who referred them, because we want to give them props because I mean, my sister really did tell me. But
Right, totally.
but then asking, do you follow us on social media? And we can get more specific, but even just that one question can be kind of
Totally.
illuminating. I love to do things in the office too that show people, whether it's giveaways or things like that, where we can kind of connect that online world and see when some people are kind of like, oh, I never thought about that you would have an Instagram. I would love to follow you actually. So
Totally.
those are
And I
all
even
the
think
all
that
the fun
question is
things.
triggering. If on the intake paperwork I went someone there, I said, do you follow me on social media? I'm thinking like if I went to the dentist and filled out paperwork, I would never think about their social media. But if on their intake it said, do you follow us? I'd be like, I should check them out and see what they're about because they must have some sort of following or like put special energy there where they might give me educational tips or something. If they're asking about social media, they have a social media. And so it kind of
Yeah.
makes you think, I should check that out. That's a great idea. I
Yeah.
love that.
And then, like you said, it's all relationship building, which is why we tell stories. And I feel like that's such the human connection, whether we're telling stories on social media and saying, this mom who had secondary infertility is now pregnant, and people can say, oh, wow, I should share that with my sister.
Yeah.
Or they save it for later because they were like, huh, I should look into this more.
Yep.
So it is all of that relationship building. And I feel like stories are always at the heart of it.
Yep.
And telling those stories, it's such an emotion-based way. It's like you're saying with energy, it's such an emotion-based way to go.
Totally.
All righty. Well, as we wrap up, I want to know, what do you think more people need to know about chiropractic?
That it is not pain based and
Mm,
its ability to heal goes far beyond muscles and bones. Since it's regulating nervous system, it regulates hormones, mood, sleep, digestion. It is full body health. It is not just neck pain and back pain.
awesome. That's such a good explanation. I think that this has all been really valuable for chiropractors, but also just for people who are interested in chiropractic. So I'm
Totally.
going to put some studies in the show notes. I'm going to put your Instagram and your info so people can find
Love
out
it.
more about you. But
Awesome.
thank you so much for joining me today.
For
And I
sure.
love this topic that you chose.
Thank you